Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for joining us on this third day of our OER week. Today's session is Make Your Syllabus Come Alive by Chad McKenzie. Chad, take it away.
Thank you, Emily. Appreciate that. Hope you all are doing well on this Wednesday morning. Yeah, my name is Chad McKenzie. I have been teaching at Wake Tech for about 6 years. I've been teaching community college for 15, 16 years. So enough about me. Let's kind of dive in here. Thank you for joining me today, especially on a topic about syllabus. And actually, before we dive in, I do want to hear from you all just real quick. When you hear the word syllabus, you know, what comes to mind for you? Like what word, what adjectives, what phrases, what comes to mind when you hear the word syllabus? And just drop that in the chat for me real quick. Just want to see, kind of read the room here for a second, figure out where you guys are at, what you're thinking, see if we're on the same page here. Emily, I may need you to kind of help me out with the chat if you don't mind.
Absolutely. Yeah, so a lot of the items that were coming in, so game plan, policies, contract, critical information, the contract again, materials needed, contract, and course policies. Two or three coming in is contracts. The contract seems to be pretty popular.
Yeah, and I think that is exactly how I've seen syllabus, or how when I think about it, that's what I think about too. And the syllabus has always been for me a very tricky subject. About, it's something that we put a lot of stock in, right? We want our students to read it. It has a lot of important information in the write about our class. But it's also one of those things I didn't spend a whole lot of time looking at. I wasn't very intentional with. And so this kind of sets the background for what I did with the syllabus for one of my classes. And thanks for contributing. I appreciate that. Thank you, Emily, for letting me know that. So here's our agenda for the next few minutes here. And I don't anticipate keeping you a whole hour, give you some time for your day. But, you know, I do want to walk through this thing about how do we humanize the syllabus, you know. And as you all have just stated, it is a very contractual thing, right? It's not something that you easily think of to humanize or to be intentional about. So we'll kind of walk through that and look at some of the research that I looked at before I did this. And then second part, I'll kind of walk through my experience and when I implemented it in one of my classes and the feedback that I got from students, and kind of share that with you. And what I used to create it, I used Canva, and I'll show you that in a quick little dive. I'll kind of show you the website and kind of walk you through what I did and show you how I used it. And then obviously there'll be time for any questions and answers, or questions that you may have, answers I'll try to give you. But anytime, Emily is on the chat. So just drop your questions in there anytime, and we'll get to those as soon as we can. So yeah, let's take a look here. Let me go back.
Hey, Chad, just for clarity, if you kind of wouldn't mind, you know, if you could kind of describe your definition for what do you mean by humanize, kind of before you really dig into it.
Yeah, for sure. And that's kind of where we're at right here with this slide. I went through this learning lab through EduCalls, if you've heard about EduCalls before. And this was the spring of 2021. And one of the research articles we looked at was from this professor, Michelle McKenzie Brock, and she kind of walked through what does a humanized syllabus look like. And her phrasing was a liquid syllabus. And you might see liquid syllabus, living syllabus, humanized syllabus. Those are kind of some of the phrases you may hear around this. But I read through her research, and this was one of the quotes that I want to pick out and kind of share with you. And you can see that there. A liquid syllabus is intended to serve as a kindness cue of social inclusion by welcoming students, positioning an instructor as a learning partner, and illuminating a path for success for all students. I read that and I thought, wow, can a syllabus have that kind of power in our classes? And it kind of piqued my interest about, what can I do to be more intentional with my syllabus? A lot of students come to an online class, and it can be very, very, very dry and very, not humanized. There's little interaction sometimes or maybe their previous experience with an online class. And so I love this idea of this one thing that the students will get to first, right? The syllabus is the thing that we want them to read, we want them to look at before they get started. And so how can we kind of set the stage for our whole class based on this one document? And so I kind of want to walk you through how Michelle described it. And there's her website if you want to look at that too. And then how I took what she was talking about and made it fit for my class. And so let's kind of just walk through some of the key points here from Michelle. And I want you to look at these key points and these adjectives that I got from her research about a humanized syllabus or a liquid syllabus. Contrast that with what we all were thinking or what you all had said at the very beginning. You don't typically describe a syllabus as hopeful and warm and safe and welcoming, right? It's just kind of flips the script a little bit on that. But some of her points here, the syllabus can be a humanizing element so that students start the course feeling supported, right? And how do we be intentional about what students need to succeed in the class? That can be there too, right? A warm, friendly face. Now, you see the example of Michelle's syllabus here. And we know in this day and age how far a warm, friendly face can go, right? Mask or no mask, right? Timely. She recommended emailing the syllabus before the semester starts. And I'll kind of walk you through what I did in the next slide, but I sent mine out about 1 or 2 weeks before the semester would begin. She thought that was it's true, it's a very high opportunity zone to foster belonging from the get-go or even before we start the actual course content. And I love that. Something else she mentioned, this syllabus is public, it's accessible, it is not bound, and it is not trapped inside of our LMS. And I love that too. And it's mobile friendly. And the example that she gave in her research, she did just a free website design site, right? And I'll show you, I use Canva, which is kind of very similar. What else is part of this? A brief, imperfect welcome video. And I love the term imperfect, right? Because we are not perfect and we don't expect our students to be perfect, right? And you can see her welcome video there. And I love the freedom that it gave me in making my welcome videos or any videos for my class, that it doesn't have to be perfect. I can keep the ums and the mistakes and the pauses in there. That's good. It shows that I am human, right? But yes, put the welcome video in the syllabus. Super helpful. The policies, a lot of you mentioned policies, right, in your syllabus. Are the policies written in hopeful language? Is it welcoming? We all know that words matter. The language, the structure, the visual design, the file format, they all communicate something to our students. Is our syllabus, is it a list of things not to do? Is it written in a deficit-based language? Does it induce anxiety? If it is a list of all these rules and procedures and things to do or things not to do, what does that communicate to our students? Many who have maybe never taken an online class or a college class before. And a syllabus is assumed sometimes to be very neutral, and it's not. And so I love that just kind of rethinking about what a syllabus is. And then I wanted to share at the bottom of this slide, you see another quote from Michelle, and I just thought it was so impactful for me, and I wanted to share it with you. And I'll just read it really quickly here, but it says, creating trust and identity safety at the start of an online course is an instructional practice that supports the success of more students. Students from non-majority groups are more likely to enter a college course from a place of distrust and have less cognitive bandwidth to dedicate to learning because of the ways that social marginalization wears away at a human's capacity to learn and make decisions. And wow, I was blown away by that, and just rethinking again, from a student perspective, what is this piece of paper, or what is this contract? What does it mean, and what does it communicate to them? And so that's kind of the background here. And I'll stop just for a second. Any questions or anything you want to talk more about Michelle's research on this? And then I'll go ahead and just jump in here. And this is my experience, and this is what I did back in the summer of 2021. I started using this syllabus, and these are just screenshots. And a little bit later, I'll jump into the live version so you can kind of see what it looks like, get a glimpse of the videos, that sort of thing. But right off the bat, when you see these 3 pages here, what are the impressions that you get? And you can drop that in the chat too while I'm discussing. But what is your first impression when you see this syllabus? And Emily, you can stop me anytime and just let me know if there's any feedback in the chat. But some of the things I'll just highlight, right? You see a clear grading scale. Students know exactly what part of the course is what percentage of the grade. You also see a picture of the textbook. And I can't tell you how much feedback I got from that was just like, hey, wow, now I know exactly what book it is. Just a super helpful thing to think about.
Yeah, Chad, we got a lot of chat going, so okay. A lot of good feedback. Chunked for easy navigation, engaging, cheerful, easy to read and find what's needed. Less words, more visual driven. Someone commented that doesn't put you to sleep. Engaging and eye-catching, and looks a lot more fun than a boring Word document, which I would agree with. Easy to understand. and then not daunting. Now, someone did comment and said they like it, and not to be contrary, but the color contrast and accessible. So I'm sure we'll touch on that at some point. So a lot of good feedback.
Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, and I think that's exactly what the feedback I got from students. They actually read it. It was something that was very visually appealing, right? And it kind of draws your eye to it. So they did take a look at it. Yeah, I love that. That was exactly the purpose. And so I was really blown away by the feedback from my students. And I'll share some quotes in the next slide, but yeah, it was not only the feedback because I sent this before the semester started. I got a lot of feedback then too. It was just like, hey, thanks for letting me know ahead of time what to expect. And especially with a class like CTS 130, with Excel, students come in with a little bit of fear of, they think math, they think numbers, right? And this kind of just sets the tone for, hey, here's what to expect. And in the second page, I do like there's a welcome video, but there's also an Excel intro video, right? Here's what Excel is, and it is nothing to be afraid of. And so they get this before the semester starts, and I think it just sets the tone for the rest of the semester. And even in the last slide or the last picture there, these are kind of more the policies and the procedure type things, but I can mix in a little bit of those images, right? Kind of break up the more text-based thing that we're used to.
Chad, there are a couple questions in the chat. Beverly Bartholomew mentioned, are we allowed to use this? Because I thought we had to use the standard template. And another question was, you mentioned sending the syllabus out before the semester. Did you use Blackboard to send it out?
Okay, great questions. Yeah, so when I sent this out to the students before the semester, I sent this, and then I sent this along with the required Word or PDF template. And Beverly, I know we in our division in IT, we do have a set template. And so that was not just thrown away. It was just, this was in addition to that. And so I did send both. And Emily, we can kind of touch on this too. You may know more about this, but Canva, in the way that I did this, is not 100% accessible. And so I wanted to make sure that I sent this along with our template, our Word document, or PDF, which is accessible. But yeah, great question. And then for the second question about the students, what I did was I grabbed the email addresses from WebAdvisor and used that to send out the email. Does that, hopefully that answers those questions. And yeah. Emily, you can go ahead, Emily.
Yeah, just to touch on the accessibility aspect. For anyone who's used Canva, they do incorporate accessibility. So you can, of course, include alternative text. So you can think about your font choices and your, your color options and things like that. But just as with any, document or something visually you are sending out, if for some reason, it is not that 100% accessible, that's where also including your Word document kind of backs that up. So you do have, sort of your alternate format, in the event that is needed. But, again, with Canva, it does include alternative text. It does include headings if you have any sort of tables, anything along those lines.
Yeah, appreciate that, Emma. Thank you. And yeah, these are just some of the what I do in my classes is, here at Wade Tech we have a course survey at the very end of the course. And it can be very lengthy, and I wanted some more information about my class in particular, right? So what I've done is I've created a really short survey in Blackboard, 4 or 5 questions, just to talk about the class and the feedback that I wanted to get. And I did added a question since the summer about the syllabus. You know, did you get it? Did you read it? What did you think about it? And these are some of the comments I got back. And I'll just say too, you know, it's if you want to know something about your class, ask them, but just be prepared that the students will tell you exactly what they think. But it's great feedback to get. So just be careful what you wish for there. But yeah, you can read some of these quotes here, but I love that kind of the same things that you all said. You know, it made me engaged in the class before I was even in the course. Made your personality stand out. You know, who would have thought that a syllabus can make my personality, you know, stand out or show in any way? I never thought about it that way. It was a more personal touch to welcoming everyone to the class. Love that. It was very helpful, easy to look at. You all mentioned that too. So yeah, the student feedback I was really, really blown away. And it is something that I will continue to use. And I've used it only in a couple of classes. I haven't done it in all my classes yet. But yeah, that's something that's definitely on the radar, and it's definitely something that I intend to keep using, kind of tweaking as I go along each semester, just to figure out what works best. And hopefully you can kind of take this and think about a class or two that you teach and figure out this will work for you. And hopefully it does. And so with that, if there's any more questions, we'll do that now, but we can also jump straight into Canva. And
we do have a question that says, what would you estimate a time commitment for creating this would be, especially since we have most of the information, if not already, drafted in some capacity?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the very first time it took me maybe 30 minutes, no more than an hour, because you're right. I had the word syllabus, right? I already had that and the information. And a lot of it was just a matter of copying and pasting. And this is a time, if you have a creative part of your brain that you want to turn on, it's a good time to do that. So depending on how creative you want to get, that may determine how long. The good thing about Canva, and I'll show you this here in a second, is there are many templates that you can use. So you're not technically starting from scratch. And so it's just a matter of tweaking a template that maybe you see or you like and going from there. Okay, so let me get out of here for a second. And yes, in case you're wondering, I did create this slideshow in Canva as well. So this is what Canva looks like. And if you have not signed up for Canva yet, hold on just a second. At the very end, I will give you a nice little surprise so that you can use that when you sign up. But yeah, this is Canva. And so let's just say you want to do a syllabus, right? You can search for it here. Here's all your templates that you can use. And notice, look, this is the one that I used before. This was the template I used, and I just customized it for what I wanted. But there's plenty of options if you want to do a more of a slideshow type thing. That's there too. And the only thing I'll tell you is just take some time to play around with Canva. Get in there and figure out how it works, how to use it. I'll jump in here. Let's see. I do want to show you this is the actual syllabus that I created.
Here's another question in the chat. It says, in addition to Canva, are there other syllabus creation programs or platforms that you might recommend?
Yeah, I want to say the other one that I think Michelle used was Wix.com. And that was more of a website creating tool there. Canva was another one that especially that I use right here. And there were a couple more, and I can shoot those to you later. But Canva was the one I thought was more intuitive and easier to use, and kind of met my needs. So there are other free options out there to use. Yeah, good question. But yeah, so let's just say like this is my syllabus that I used. And over here on the left are how you can add shapes and lines and photos, uploads. This is where you can upload, let's say, pictures, videos. What I did for my VidGrid folks, I think Carrie's on here. Props to Carrie for getting VidGrid for us. What I did was I took my welcome video in VidGrid, downloaded it, and uploaded it in here. And that way I could use it right here. And just all you do is just drag and drop pretty much. You can also grab videos from YouTube, and which is what I did here. This Excel video is on YouTube. Just paste your link and you can add it. Really, really intuitive. I do love the text. It's just a simple drag and drop heading, subheading. They've got some really cool designs that are available for you there too. And so yeah, that's kind of how I created it. I do want to, let me move myself out of the way here for a second. And so when I got ready to share with my class, I'll tell you right up here, here's your share. And then I would share a link to view and just copy that link. And that is the link that I would send to my students. You can also look at insights. So I can see how many views, how many unique viewers. And obviously this was back at the beginning of the semester. But yeah, you can see, you can check out your views and who was viewing it. And so if they've logged in, you can see their actual name. So that's pretty cool there. You can also download it. And so you can download this as JPEG, PNG, you can do PDF. That's all there for you too. Another cool thing about this, you can also send this through Teams. And this is for anything you make. And I'll show you some other examples of things that I have done besides the syllabus. But Teams is directly already embedded in here. And so let's just say I do want to send this to Teams, right? That is an option. You can send this to a person group or a channel. Kim and I work together. And so I could say, hey, let me just send this to Kim. Share, done. And so Kim, I don't know if Kim is on here, but she just got a message from me with a syllabus. Pretty straightforward. There's also on this option, the LMS, and I haven't used this yet, but maybe Emily, you can speak to this. It does connect with Blackboard. And so I think there is something we got to turn on to use it, but that is there.
Yeah, so there are options for the LMS. I have played around with it and trying to see what is needed, but that is still in the works. So I can't give a go or no go on that at this time, particularly for Blackboard.
Yeah, no worries. And you can also print. That is still an option too. So let me go back to this really quick, and I'm going to show you some other things that I've done. I was kind of brainstorming about a group project for one of my classes, and if you can see that, this was just an infographic. And I know Emily uses this a lot for infographics, but yeah, it's just a different way, right, to visualize what student you want them to do. And I was playing around with this, and once again, this is a template, and then I just dropped in pictures, and I was good to go with that. Some other things I do want to show you. Let me find it here. This was my welcome video introduction, the slides that I used for that. And so you can kind of just see I used a template presentation and then kind of dropped in some of the things that I wanted to know and what I want to talk about in my intro or my welcome video. If you were at the faculty summit, this was I think last year, and no, 2 years ago, 2020. I used Canva to create the program guide, right? And so once again, I thought it was a really easy way to do that. And then the last thing I'll show you is, I think this is it. Yeah. These are the banners that I use for Blackboard. And Emily, you can kind of touch on this too if you get a second, but you can resize these to the actual, pixel size that are needed for the Blackboard banners. But I just thought this was a really cool way, because they're going to see this, when they first log in for the course. And I just made one for each class. Once again, I put a picture of the textbook there, and just gave them something else to, make the online environment a little more humanized, right? It is a place that they're going to be spending a lot of time in. And so.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I highly recommend Canva to anyone, just to add those visual elements to a course. We all know there's a lot of areas in courses that are going to be text heavy. That's just the nature of it. But just being able to break up that text as much as you can by adding a course banner, creating a visual slideshow, or even do things such as small video, edits, kind of your intro and outros for your videos, infographics, and sometimes just a basic image that you might want to send in an email or post in your course, just to, put a quote in there and just kind of guide students through their lesson. I'll mention one of the folks on the call here is Jennifer Everts. I took a couple of her classes, I think last year, and she puts an image in nearly every weekly folder, just a and then just to break up the text. It really doesn't have any sort of instructional information there. It's just there. It's eye-catching, just to get going, and you can use Canva for that.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. We can jump back to this if you have any questions, but I do want to share with you this website here. This is the fun surprise that I want to share with you. If you go to this website, when you sign up for Canva, you use your WaitTech email and you get Canva Pro, or Canva Education, which gives you access to everything in Canva. So there's no restrictions on what you can do, which is great. And so use this website here. I think it should be Canva for Education. It is free for educators. You can even use this in classes. You can share with your students if you want your students to work on something together. You can collaborate using Canva. It's a really, really neat tool, and the biggest thing of all, it is free, and you get to use it, all the features with your EDU email account there. So, and hopefully that's still working. That's what I've used. I think Emily, I sent this to you, and Emily, you said it works too. But yeah, please use that to sign up. And yeah, and with that, if there's any questions or you want to look at something else that I've done, or you want to go through Canvas some more, we have plenty of time to do that. Or you can also, I know your time is valuable. You can hop off, but please don't hesitate to email me anytime. If you got suggestions or questions about Canva and how I use it, would love to help you do that. And like I said, it has been it's been a real game changer for me, and I've been really excited to kind of share this with folks, and I hope that you'll see some sort of benefit, or maybe this spurred something in your mind about what you can do in your own classes, especially your online classes, to kind of make them more humanized, to make them a little more engaging and exciting and useful for your students. Students love it, and so I knew when I got the really good feedback from students, I knew I needed to share this, and hopefully you can find it helpful for you.
Hey, Chad.
Yes.
Hi, this is Brittany Smith from Wilson Community College. I was wondering if you could drop your link to your syllabus in the chat box.
Yeah.
Just so I'd love to show, our administration would have to approve this for us, but I'd love to show it so that it could be an option we use in the future.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It looks like we do have a hand raised. Jennifer Everett's got her hand raised.
Good morning, everyone. And thank you so much, Chad. This was super interesting and very hands-on and helpful. I first learned about the liquid syllabus in the Achieving the Dream conference last year, but I felt like your presentation really gave some practical solutions that were covered more pedagogically, philosophically in that last one. I have two questions for you this morning. They're a little bit separate, so I'll ask one if that's okay and have you answer. Just to follow up on what Brittany was saying, how can we encourage, the promotion or adoption of the liquid or live syllabus at the administration level? So right now, many of us are, we're kind of given a standard syllabus that we need to work with from the in the case of the English department, we have a division syllabus as well as a department syllabus. And that, of course, is in a Word, very text-heavy document. I know that we can create these separately, but are there suggestions that maybe we could take back to our admins, both the lower level and the upper level admins, to kind of promote reviewing the syllabus?
Yeah, Jennifer, that is an excellent question, and I'm definitely on the same page as you. And I don't know. Maybe Emily can kind of talk more about this, being on the admin side, but I have expressed this to Emily as well. just about how this is much more useful and more engaging for our students, right? And I think you realize that. But like you, our division, our department has a set standard template, which is very basic, very neutral, and it's just a requirement. And so, Jennifer, those questions are great. And I don't know how to move this forward. I know the syllabus is I want to say it's part of the SACS, things we have to do as part of our, accreditation purposes. I don't know. Maybe Emily can speak more to that. But I will say, Jennifer, it feels sometimes to me as though that template, that text-heavy document is just a check in the box. And it's just something to check off to say you've done it. And I think something needs to change with that. And I agree. I feel like we do need to be more intentional about, what we're sending our students. And honestly, I'm glad you mentioned this, because I was in a meeting yesterday with Dr. Rebecca Berry, who talked about the syllabus, and what we put on the syllabus matters. And just to keep that in mind about being very intentional about what we do. And so that I'm with you, Jennifer. Emily, do you have anything you can add to that about?
From the perspective that I'm in, as well as Lauren, and Mary's on this call as well. With e-learning support, we're simply your support personnel. We have no decision-making authority in any way, shape, or form. Decisions come from departments and deans and higher up from there. But in my mind, I would say, I guess sort of the idea is strength in numbers here. If you've got a lot of faculty, that if you can get them on board, get your faculty on board, and then get your faculty to talk to department heads and get department heads on board, and then just kind of work your way up, the more people that start talking and think about it and communicate and collaborate, the more that you could, look into, even further tools, because there are tools out there that can be integrated directly in an LMS that will make syllabi less text heavy and easier to manage. I forget the name. I think there's one that's called Simple Syllabus, I believe, is one that could be integrated at a department level and even above. And there's multiple ones out there. That's just an example. But from my experience, what I would say is, as a faculty member, communicate with other faculty, try and get them on board, and then just kind of keep working at it and just kind of working your way up to department levels and division levels, and just going from there. So the more that we can get, involved starting small and just working the way up and getting the word out, that's honestly going to be, kind of the best way to go from my perspective. I see Lauren's got her hand raised, so she may have another comment or so.
I was just going to say a similar thing, sort of that grassroots approach, definitely. And just from my experience working in different positions across the college, and definitely with LSID and faculty members here, the more student feedback we have showing that this is a positive experience for students, that tends to really go a long way when you're trying to get admin to buy into things. Also stressing that this can be done and it is accessible. We can make it accessible, even if it is just providing this along with the regular Word or PDF format. And then finally, it would be probably pretty great if I could get Chad to do this as a PD session that we can offer on a regular basis to kind of get more faculty involved, get them excited about it, and get them doing this in the departments and divisions where they can, so we can get more of that positive student feedback. I think that would be something that would help kind of spread the word and get it out that you can do this, that we can support you in doing this, and really growing it across the college. But I just want to say thank you to Chad for doing all this work. It's really very inspiring. It gets me excited to do this with my own syllabus. I need to get out there and do the work for it. But thank you, Chad.
Chad, this is Mary. I wanted to add a couple of ideas to chew on. There is an action team, and Emily, I don't know that necessarily we've thought of this, but there's an action team that is part of the strategic plan for the virtual resources strategy or tactic. And that action team is teaching with technology. Jennifer Unitas and Samantha Brown lead that. But I think that after you have the conversations with your admins and, you know, kind of educate them to this, I think it's also in some ways an inclusion strategy as well. But I think that once you get them on board with kind of this idea, then a natural next step would be to work with that committee to express the need to adopt a uniform, possibly tool that we can all use and support so that we can address issues like the accessibility issues and how we move forward in a more strategic way. It still allows the flexibility for, you know, having different designs and that sort of thing, but having a tool that we can support. I know Chad's using Canva. He mentioned there are a couple of others, but having a way that we can identify something that we can educate folks on how to make it accessible and become the de facto syllabus, I think would be a great next step after you get your admins on board. But definitely, I think, you know, talking at your department head levels and trying to, you know, educate them as to the benefits and the research and so forth would be probably the first steps.
Thank you, Mary. Appreciate that. And Jennifer, I don't know if you said you had two parts. Another question? Just to make sure I got you before you head out.
I did have another question comment. Sorry, I'm just flipping back my page here.
Okay.
So one thing that I find myself doing is that I find my syllabus becoming more and more bloated with policies. So, you know, as I'm seeing students trend towards certain, you know, areas I want them to avoid, I'm saying, you know, make sure you back up your work, make sure you submit your documents this way, make sure that, you know, you ask questions in an online course, et cetera. So I totally get the idea of changing language so that it's not a to-do list. I'm really not sure this is an actual question, but trying to mediate between including the policies that kind of have to be there versus creating a document that's much more welcoming. And if we're separating the two, if we're creating the liquid syllabus as well as this accessible other version, you know, and the accessible other version has all of these actual hard points on there, you know, are we kind of not achieving the goal? You know, we're not wanting to hammer our students over the head with, you know, I'll only accept XYZ file format, but we have to put that somewhere. I don't know. I'm just kind of going back and forth between those ideas. I don't know if I'm making clear sense.
Oh, absolutely. And Jennifer, that is something I've wrestled with too, because even in this living syllabus that I'm constantly tweaking and working on, I did not put everything in there. And so it was kind of me picking and choosing. It was something separate than that text-based, heavy text-based document that I have that I also send. And so, and I've wrestled with that because it's almost like I'm saying those other things don't really matter, but they do. But these are things I want you to focus on. So yeah, I think it's a continuing conversation, Jennifer, and we can definitely chat later on about this, but what is the balance between a welcoming syllabus and one that is full of the policies and procedures that we do want students to know? And does that need to be somewhere else or housed in a different place? I don't know. I think that's definitely worth the conversation.
Thanks so much, Chad. That's helpful.
Thanks, Chad. This is Kim, and I'm here, and I did get your link in Teams. But while you were doing this, and I love this idea, and I was thinking about the whole deal with the bookstore and how if we do come up with some streamlined steps for them to ensure they have their materials in a timely manner, how that would be effective to put on this and send it to them before the beginning of the semester. So my brain's moving now to how that would work. So
Yeah, that's great. And And I don't know who all's still in the call, but Kim and I had a lot of issues with the bookstore and the textbook and materials and that sort of thing. And we've been trying to rack our brains, trying to figure out what's the best way to communicate to students to get the materials, or what's going to happen when they do go to the bookstore or when they order online. Like, what does that whole process look like? And this could be a way we can kind of navigate that using Canva or using some sort of infographic or something to let students know what to expect mainly.
I agree. Thanks, Chad.
Thanks, Kim. Appreciate it.
Just filtering through the chat. I don't see any more specific comments. If anyone does, questions. If anyone does have a question that I missed, I apologize, but you do have capabilities to unmute yourself and ask if you would like. But so far, just a lot of good comments going back and forth.
I think I did see, I don't know if Carrie is still on here. I saw a question from Carrie about if you already have a Canva account, how do you upgrade that to the Canva Education or Canva Pro? Is that right?
Yeah, when I set up my original account, I did it with my Wake Tech EDU account, but I didn't know the education trick. So as far as I know, mine is just a basic, account that you get whenever you set up just as an individual going in.
Okay.
So I'm wondering if maybe they link, I don't know. I probably need to dig into my own account and see if it is just based on the extension of my email, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, go in there and especially look and see if this is the one thing that is not in the one thing that is in the Pro version is this resize option.
Okay.
So if you're not able to resize, then get with me, because then we need to move you to the Pro account.
Okay, so you said the Pro account has resized, the regular does not.
Yes, or that it'll be there, but you can't use it.
Okay. All right, I'll check it, and if not, I'll be in touch with you.
Yeah, double check that for sure. And I had the same thing, Carrie, because I think I had a basic account, and then I had I forgot what I did. I had to transfer it over to Pro.
Okay, cool, thanks.
Yep. Awesome. Hey, thank you for joining again. Thank you for sticking with me. Emily, thank you for helping with the chat. And yeah, if you have any questions, there's my email. Please reach out.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not seeing any more questions in the chat. And again, if I missed your question, I apologize. But yeah, thank you all for attending and participating. And we do have another session lined up today, of course, and a couple more throughout the rest of the week. So I hope that I will see you again in another session. But thank you all for your support, and thank you to Chad for this great presentation.
Okay, thank you.